10 hours debranding sunglasses today. Okay, let's try and do this. Welcome back to Out Your Shell. Hopefully everyone's doing good. So less than a week of me voluntarily leaving the charity that I worked for, with the mindset of keeping a choice of not having a vaccine. I don't want it. I believe you should be prioritising your health over reliance on this new vaccine that's not properly been tested. So I get to work, I sit down in this warehouse I'm working, some good staff around me, not bad people, just the job isn't me. So I sit down and they said, oh, have you heard about the U-turn in the mandate? So I look it up. So I've got it up here. We got it with Good Morning Britain, one of the biggest news channels here in the UK, discussing it with someone else. So watch it with me.
Reports suggest the government will announce a U-turn on mandatory COVID vaccinations for NHS and social care workers.
Interventions against the spread of COVID, and then to balance that against making the least infringements we can against people's personal liberty. I think that's been the right balance to try to strike. It's obviously genuinely hard, and governments around the world have been wrestling with
Governments around the world wrestling with it. People are protesting because you don't want to be forced to do something.
Omicron is much more transmissible, but it is also somewhat less dangerous.
The way that he put this across was almost like, you know what, the Omni variant is taken over, it's less risk to the public and those that are vulnerable. So we'll probably take back what we said, stop the pressure on the NHS. The NHS and the social care sector. Tens of thousands of people in the NHS alone willing to walk because they were stripped of their right to choose. Private care sectors, already people have left their job because they don't want this vaccine, including myself. So for me to get and do this, thinking that I'm being organised, thinking that instead of me dragging this out until April, let me just get in this other job, get it sorted so I'm secure, and then this happened. So let's finish.
I think that's the right thing for us to do.
This could save the jobs of 80,000 NHS workers. However, 40,000 care workers have lost their jobs under your no jab, no job policy. If you U-turn on the NHS, could those care workers come back into the sector?
Well, this is something which the Health Secretary would have to set out.
So when we're saying that, like, I'm not going to say I'm anti-vax or anything. If I'm unvaccinated, I'm working with an elderly person with a severe minor immune system, end of life, stuff like that, then yes, I'm not going to be that person that works with them. Doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to work with anyone in the social sector, in the health sector.
To protecting both the resilience of the health and care system and the patients you're treating, many of whom, of course, in care settings are extremely elderly and vulnerable to COVID, if you are vaccinated.
So more or less, not apologising, not anything about those people that have already left their workplace, thinking that this mandate is going to end their employment anyway, still exercising their right to choose not to have a vaccine. So nothing about that. And a lot of bullshit talk. I mean, fuck Minster. This is someone that we pay, by the way, and gets an allowance. Before we go, I need to highlight, if anything, start a damn rebellion to have a change in the system.
I think as the Chief Secretary, this is going to kind of, the warm the cockles of your heart. Let me read this. Every public sector worker should feel personal responsibility for the money they spend and the money they save. They should make changes such as travelling by economy rather than business class. Now, that was a quote from the Foreign Secretary Liz Truss back in 2007 for the think tank Reform. Last week it was revealed she decided not to travel even business class to Australia and instead spent £500,000 in a private government plane to Australia and back, not with a delegation of business leaders or journalists paying their fares. She could have saved huge amounts of taxpayers' money by going business class, let alone economy class. As the Chief Secretary, what What have you said to the Foreign Office? Have you said to them, get a grip on the way in which you're spending public money?
No, we have a government plane to conduct government business in the way that all major nations do, and I think that's right and appropriate.
If you want to watch any more, if you want to watch the whole thing to make sure that I'm not out of context, look it up. Good Morning Britain. This was done 2 days ago. So £500,000 of yours, my tax-paying money to get a plane to Australia. And the gentleman who is managing our money, UK's budget, thought that that was acceptable. Now, if you agree with that, then you're a damn sheep. You think of any nurse, anyone that was potentially going to be losing their job, that could become jobless and doesn't have that backup plan after a career of trying to do some good for someone that needs it, for people with health problems, drug abuse, elderly, anything. £500,000 could have been used to support those that needed it during this time. Instead, it went on their private plane. Absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, regards to me and work and what's happening on my end is I've reached out to work, I've sent them an email, hey listen, now the mandate is now U-turned and that is the only reason I left that job. Could I get it back? Could I go back to doing something that I believe you're doing some sort of good with a team that I enjoyed, with a workplace, work hours that I enjoyed, the pay rate that I enjoyed, and having a bit more meaning? In which no response yet, which in my head is a bit of an insult, but we'll see what happens from there. Otherwise, if you're vaccinated or not, as long as you're healthy, use it as a reminder that you need to focus on your health. COVID attacks your fat cells. There's protein spikes that attack your fat cells. That's why there's more serious risk of death if you are overweight, if you are unhealthy, underlying health conditions. I'm too tired for this. And for the minister, the guy that handles our budget, disappear. Find a way, make it happen. Just go. Get new people in that are going to do it properly. We still have Boris Johnson in power. We still have all this BS happening. It's an insult to everyone. Anyway, write in the comments your thoughts on it, what's happening right now. It's all in the air. You have protests all over the world regarding this, and yet Britain tried to jump on that, tried to jump on this bandwagon of mandated vaccines. Next thing you know, you're going to have them Swedish microchips in your hand. Okay guys, we're going to have dinner. Tired, we're done. Get out of your shell, go do something different. Think for yourself, please. And yeah, stay healthy guys. Bye.